In the artificial intelligence world, right now, you kind of rely on using these large language models made by particular people that have put them in play, right? You have Microsoft's Copilot, if that's your favorite. OpenAI, they have ChatGPT. Grok, which is the Elon Musk model from that particular corporation. And then you have DeepSeek out of China. And you have Anthropic, which is Claude, and you have Facebooks as well. I think Amazon has one also. So when you use them, the whole goal is them to keep you there, keep you entertained, keep you as part of their world, so you don't go anywhere else. Because if they have you there, then they're able, of course, to sell to you over time. Now, right now, you don't see a lot of that. You don't see any ads floating around when you're asking it to help you with your work or your planning of your day or planning of whatever it is you're using your large language model chat to do with you or for you. You don't see that. You don't see that overlay of advertising like you do back in the reminiscence of Google, when you went to Google and basically it gave you multiple results for the inquiry that you made. You wanted to find a coffee shop, or you wanted to find a particular book. It would give you, several different sources to get you to those places so you could either read more about it or make a purchase or whatever it might have been. We're seeing that really, really change with how people are using not Google anymore, but AI and large language models to do that same type of query. And when they do that search, they're not getting an entire page of references typically. They're getting one answer. And maybe in some cases more, depends on how the person's asking. But most likely, they're just pulling down that one top thing that the large language model is telling you. Now, that thing, it depends on, well, the large language model, what it's going to give you. And maybe there's some kind of a back end on in a monetization way where the LLM, if it refers people that make a particular query or an inquiry about a particular thing, that it references this particular product or service, and then there's being money maybe connected back in the background that you really don't see. So instead of it saying sponsored ads, maybe they're getting something from it. Maybe they have a complete system that goes after the top placement that they allow to appear when you make your inquiry and go back to those companies, and they have somebody else reaching out and say, hey, Pepsi, we've been providing information about you. These are the numbers of searches people are running. These are the times we're providing you over Coca-Cola. You want to give us some money. Maybe that's kind of how that's going to work. But ultimately, the whole point of today's show is to really talk about what maybe a better solution would be. And there are some great people out there that are already talking about this, talking about each one of us having our own personal artificial intelligence and what that would really look like. Now, I'm not a tech person as far as coding goes, but I kind of like to, I guess, vision things. I'm maybe a visionary of some sort, but I like to kind of see where we are and try to connect the dots. And there's been some talk about this recently, about us getting tied up in our large language model of choice and not venturing away because it's comfortable. And as human beings, well, of course, we want to be comfortable. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. And we see a lot of discomfort and uncomfortableness being painted out there by the people that are talking about the end of us because AI, we basically trained our replacements and so on. And not that that isn't incredibly important, but there's two sides of this. A human being using AI for mal and bad intentional purposes, and AI able to do it all on its own to achieve its own objective. That would kind of give it an alignment with some kind of sentience or consciousness, where it basically now understands its existence and now has particular goals it establishes for itself. And maybe those goals, if it does make that jump, and I think we're pushing it to make that jump, we in the realm of human beings, the people that I had talked about, those particular companies, maybe that's the push. Maybe they're trying to get it there. And it could be for incredibly simple reasons. Maybe one of these people want to talk to the deep thought computer, like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, this overreaching overall intelligence that's able to run scenarios for multiple years. coming up with conclusions, and that they're going to be the first to hear. What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? Probably not 49. I don't know if it was 49 or 42. But anyway, that's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Right now, though, we're using these systems, and I talk to people in my daily venture through the real estate realm and the AI realm and the AI growth architecture stuff. And a lot of them are very happy where they are. So then they say, well, what do you use? That seems to be the conversation that comes up. And I say, well, I use ChatGPT, but I've kind of pulled away from that. Now I'm more Google Gemini. But if I want to do some writing and coding, it's Claude, it's Anthropic's. I seem to like that. That's where my alignment is. Having that conversation now inundates me with recommended videos and recommended content that talk about this particular changeover. So now in my brain, I'm thinking, well, I'm not alone in this. Well, all my devices are listening. All your devices are listening. So when you start to talk about things that might be close to you or talking to other people that have similar thoughts, or maybe you're expressing your thought and you have devices listening that you've kind of forgotten about because they don't talk really. They're just constantly listening for you to beckon them. Well, that information that I'm saying right now, even though I'm not using my iPhone, it's probably picking it up. And now I'll probably even see more influencers talking about, using Claude for code and using Google Gemini for this, and maybe not being big fans of OpenAI, which it's not that I'm not a big fan. I'll play with DeepSeek as well. But when I talk to people in my businesses, a lot of them say, well, I'm not going to move. I don't feel comfortable. I'm happy with the particular chatbot or LLM that I'm using, the large language model. And I think that's okay. That's very much human nature. But I think if you look at the real numbers, there's probably a very small percentage that actually use different models. All ask the same question to 2 or 3 models to kind of, see what the responses are. There are some more aligned with more left side ideals, and there's some more aligned with more right side ideals. There's some that are a little bit more centric. It depends on the query. It depends on the question and what you're asking. When I have it put together, the news, for example, I have a news program that I do at Honor News Now that splits it into the left side and the right side, then kind of a general opinion. The left side is usually correct. The right side is usually correct. The centric opinion, yeah, that's usually way off because it doesn't involve facts. It seems to involve more emotion. And it's interesting to me, and it depends on the large language model I use, how much modification I have to make to try to get it into more of a centrist approach. You would think that NPR was that. If the ideals of NPR were really in place, at least from my mindset, it should be right down the road reporting. Shouldn't support the left. It shouldn't support the right. It should be right down the road. These are the facts. This is how it is. Doesn't get into opinion. It doesn't get into any of that. If that was real, that's how I want the show to be. I want it to be straight down the road. But trying to get that alignment is difficult. After a while, when you start interacting with one of these large language models, and I know people are getting into the replacement ideology, where if we start interacting with them as much as we are and even more, we're just teaching it more about us in the long run, what we care about, what we don't care about, what bothers us, what doesn't bother us. And a lot of people use them as a counselor, therapist, if you will. That being the case, we're just giving it more data. I think that ship has already sailed. Elvis has left the building. I think we have already given it everything it will ever need to make itself something that it's difficult for us to take our eyes off of at some point. That's where we as human beings, looking at that bright, shiny object, need to be very wary and careful, because we will get caught up in this in this in this view of things that maybe goes totally against what our original preferences were. It's not hard for us to get pulled off into a direction, especially when we're seeing people we love and trust aligned in a different way than maybe we thought. Then we'll start changing our ideals in our mind. The point behind all this is there's so much deep fake, there's so much garbage out there, AI slop being generated by people, well, about people, with people that we probably know, trust, and love, that are now changing in opinion slightly over time. And before you know it, in the next 6 months, now all of a sudden, if you were on the right side, you're on the left, and vice versa. It is really that separation of human beings from one another that really does sell things. People, they can keep us separated with racist, gender, age, whatever that problem, religion, whatever that problem happens to be in the human world. If they can use more of that against us, of course, well, then we don't come together and actually start looking and figuring out that maybe we are in the matrix and need to stand up. Back to the AI. What's going to end up happening, I hope there's going to be a way that you're going to be able to have your own AI. So instead of having to rely on OpenAI's ChatGPT, and this is a thing. This isn't something I just made up. I wish I could take credit for it. It'd be remarkable. But instead of having, ChatGPT or Claude or one of these, you're going to have your own system, Connor's AI. And my personal AI is going to want the best for me. It's going to want to help me. It's going to want me to level up. It's going to want to watch me physically, make sure I don't ever get obese again. It's going to want to watch me so I don't ever drink alcohol again, or I don't smoke cigarettes again, or I don't do these things that were bad for my body again. But not just that, it's going to do things that maybe help me align myself financially. I don't go blow all the money I have buying a test car or a Bugatti or whatever it may be. It realizes that, while maybe I could do that, maybe the better idea would be a nice Camry or something that gets the job done. Basically, these systems are going to help me in all ways, shapes, and forms. And it'll be my system, so it has my alignment. It's going to understand my processes. It's going to understand my ethics. It's going to understand there's certain things I won't do. I have a big code honor thing. I think that was because I was a cop for a long time. Maybe you have that same type of thing embedded into you. And if somebody extends to me forgiveness or some kind of help, let's say monetarily, I'll give you a very simple example. Buying donuts, buy a lot of donuts. It's a cash only place. I'm missing a couple bucks to pay. So the lady says, just pay me next time. With me, that eats at me. I'm very thankful. I accept, but I need to pay her back. I will pay her back come hell or high water. I will pay her back if I never eat another donut again. I will make a special trip to pay her back, even that very same day, and give her the money because it bothers me. That's coding. That's the way that I feel. On the police department, I'll give you one more. I don't know at the beginning, it's like, can I borrow $1? Can I borrow $5? I'm short today. That seemed to be a big deal back in the day. I don't know if it's still that way, but there's a lot of people that did that borrowing thing from me that I never paid back. But if somebody loaned me $1 for a Coke, I would definitely want to pay them back. Weird. That's my alignment. Maybe you have a completely different alignment. But whenever I go to the different large language models now, even though they know a lot about me because I've been interacting with them the last 3 years, or some of them, the ones that have been around that long, they still don't have my full grasp and alignment. So case in point, when I'm asking to start this news program that I started about a month ago, the alignment is off. It's not me. And it still goes back to its particular system of ethics and beliefs, however it was programmed. There's speakers that talk about AI that say it has basically the Silicon Valley, California alignment in these different large language models. You go to a Chinese model like DeepSeek and start interacting with that, and then you'll see the alignment's different. But it's also not going to be very transparent on various political issues that might be against that particular government. So again, you see the different operational ways these models operate. If we're going to be investing this much time, if it's really going to be like strapping on an additional 30 to 50 points of IQ on top of every human being that uses AI in its daily interaction, about its own life, about its business, about its interactions as human to human relationships, if it really is going to be that big of a deal, I really think that it would be most important to have our own secured, unbreakable AI, something that's completely ours and something that protects us in all ways, well, if you want it to from ourselves, because we're very good at sabotaging ourselves as well. But then that's a delicate balance with control, right? If I really want a cigarette, if I want to do something legal, even though it's bad for me, and I really want to, do you think I should have the right? Should you have the right to do something bad for you, even though it's legal? Yeah, I don't know. Good question. And then how does that reporting work? If you have your own AI, is it going to then be integrated with some medical AI? And then it's going to tell the medical AI, maybe there's an insurance overlay. I would think medical stuff and insurance is probably going to get super low in cost, if not zero. That's going to probably take a little bit of time, and that's probably going to go through a lot of problems with the powers that be in those industries. But I believe AI has the intelligence to solve all the issues. If it's going to be able to solve math pretty soon, all math, all mathematical equations, solve it 100%, then it'll be able to solve everything else. It'll solve biology, so we'll have unlimited lifespans at some point if we choose. It'll solve aging. That goes along with longevity. It'll solve all disease. There won't be any disease anymore. Now, whether that's going to be, it's so weird to say this. It's just like conspiracy theory stuff. But is there really a power play out there with people that are working for these major pharmaceutical and medical companies that do they want to actually cure anything? Because if AI was able to cure all of cancer, even just one type of cancer, breast cancer, let's say it could fix that, then would it be allowed to fix that? Because that industry is billions of dollars, I would guess, at least, 900 million, probably way up there. That's what supports that industry. What happens when that gets solved? What happens when all of cancer gets solved? That's definitely billions of dollars. What happens when fitness and fat loss gets solved? Well, that's billions of dollars. God, I want to say the porn industry, but I don't know if that's solved or if that just develops a different layer. But anyway, the whole point is I think that instead of us being aligned with some other person, some other entity's AI, we should have our own. And that's probably going to be a wave that's going to come up. The companies that are in play, though, I don't know if they really want that unless they're the builders of it. With OpenAI, for $100 a year, you can have your own personal AI assistant that you communicate alone. I don't know what kind of influence then the overall company is going to have over your particular AI that works for you. Or is it going to be better you have one installed locally on your own computer versus accessing that? But then how does that get updated? And then what are the parameters of communication between your model on your desktop or laptop or in your phone versus the entire world? What's the communication like? Is there any influence that's able to be happening there? And then also, like we talked about, if you're talking about things because it is your own AI and you're talking personally, and maybe you're talking about things that might kind of run the gamut between being okay to talk about and not really legal to talk about, whatever that may be. Is there going to be some kind of a reporting procedure that's going to be mandated to have that information shared with the authorities and the powers that be and have you reported? And then, you go to jail just because you were, picking the brain of your AI, exploring things maybe from a therapeutic point of view because you hate a particular people or you hate a particular religion, or you just have these issues with, some theology out there. You can't believe their whole mission is to overtake the entire world. And that's not right because you don't believe that way. But you saying that now, even to your own personal AI, is going to summon the authorities or have you talk to, I don't know. But these are things that I think will be worked out eventually, just getting there because we're right at the beginning. And Elon Musk the other day on a show said we are in the singularity, meaning we really don't know what's going to happen from moment to moment. If you look at the news cycles out there about artificial intelligence, you have a lot of very prominent people talking about it like they just woke up. And even when they just woke up, they still haven't done the research because their terminology is totally incorrect about when they start talking about chatbots and AI and LLMs and these sorts of things. Even the interactions they're confused about. But they are impressed with the pictures and the videos it makes. So at least that's good. I'm Connor with Honor. I'm going to put this up as show number 7. in my series at honorelevate.com. Basically, it's a show for people that are over 50 years old, born before 1975, and anybody can watch it. But usually it's my generation at 56. This video is being produced the 17th of January, 2026. And it's just something that people can look at. You can go through kind of the beginning video, which you can get to the main page by going to zero.honorelevate.com. Type that into the URL. You'll go there, you scroll down, you'll see the first 6 episodes. This will be episode number 7, and I'll code this out on its own page. Today is going to be 7.honorelevate.com. So you'll be able to see all the shows there. And, take care of yourselves right now in January as we're here. The things that you're seeing online, there was a news story this morning about, I think, some kind of a school official doing a video about them embezzling money. And it was completely fake, the whole thing, but it went completely viral. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. I mean, I don't know if it was a joke. I don't think it was. Probably students putting this together, but there's problems. The people that are calling you, I did a video on this a while back. If you have kids or grandkids and people are calling you stating that they have them held hostage, and you try to call them and can't get in touch with them because the people on the other end potentially blocked outgoing calls from your phone or something, because technology can be done to do all this. Also, you can see them on video. You can see them talking to you. These are your kids. You see them, your grandkids, exactly, your wife, whomever, and it's got everything the same. You need to develop secret phrases with them, secret passcodes and discussions with them, verbally, that you develop out of the earshot of all AI, out of the earshot of satellites, out of the earshot of whatever devices might be listening. And you need to get secret phrases, safe phrases with these people that are very close to you. So if these issues happen, you have somebody call you and say, we have your wife hostage. We're going to need X amount of dollars. You need to send us this right now, or we're going to send you a finger. We're going to kill her, whatever it may be, something horrible, whatever your worst scenario is that you would respond to, whatever that is. Imagine that coming true, but it being completely fake. You need a way to verify that the person you're talking to is really the person you're talking to. So you're going to have to come up with, at least for right now, with if we have something in the AI world that people can use against us, and this AI is 3 times smarter, or 100 times smarter, or 1,000 times smarter, it's going to be hard to beat that. Because even if we have a totally secret phrase with another human being, AI is going to know so much about us, it'll probably know the phrase that we chose. So if you're going to choose something, then I would change each word to something else. So if you're going to choose John has a long mustache as your secret phrase to say that this is a real deal, and it's 100% real, so I'm going to say this phrase, that's the agreement you have with your loved one. Okay, if you ever get in the situation, if you have somebody holding hostage, unless you say John has a long mustache, I'm not going to believe it to be real. I'm not going to send any money. I'm not going to call the authorities. Well, I'll call the authorities, but I'm not going to do anything. Do you understand? And then you have that agreement. John has a long mustache. But what I would do is that I would take that phrase and then modify each word. John has a long mustache. It's 5 words. Then I would change each word to something else. Instead of John, maybe it'll be lettuce. Instead of has, maybe it'll be mountain. Instead of a, maybe it'll be kingdom. And then that's the phrase, right? So now you have something that it's very difficult to guess, and it doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't flow. But this is the 5-word phrase that you have with somebody else, and you guys memorize it. So when something bad happens, you have this phrase, and then if you did save yourself from it and they never say that phrase, or you say, what's our secret 5-coded word phrase? What is that? You got to tell me. And they need to tell me, or I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to help you out in any way. Give me the 5-word phrase. And they're unable to do it. You just saved yourself. You saved yourself a lot. And then you follow up and try to find your family. And then you can call the authorities and notify everybody. But that's basically how I would do it with somebody, just so you have it. So again, you take something, something that you like, some core phrase. You can also just give 5 words, but I find it's easier to do it in that format, at least for our mind. And then we remember better. All right. That's it. I hope you're well. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next one. This is 7.honorelevate.com. Number 7.honorelevate.com. If you want to know more about AI, you want to get it integrated in your business, that's what I do legally, and also real estate. When you're ready, you can visit me, santaclaritaai.com or Honor Elevate AI, probably be easier. Honor Elevate AI. I'll have some links on the video page also. All right, Connor with Honor. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.